Good Sunday evening, high school sports fans. Joe Gillaway with Lingelstown Gazette Sports live from the Orchard Street studio. And this is our high school football week 15 recap show. I'll be joined momentarily by our panel of experts without an opening guest tonight as soon as we're done thanking those responsible for bringing you tonight's show. And they are Lingelstown Gazette Sports Platinum sponsors, Capital Region Insurance Agency, Payer Apparel, Team PA, AAU Basketball, Ted's Bar and Grill, The Tire Mart, American Legion Post 272, Crystal Bob at Iron Valley Real Estate, Hoffman Ford, Tonino's Pizza, and Sam Hartley Decking. Thanks once again to these great local businesses for their continued support of Lingelstown Gazette Sports and our area's student athletes. We'd also like to thank Penn Live for allowing us to use some of their photos. Usually each show we'll use one or two of their photos, and I always like to mention they are professional photographers. Penn Live is, of course, a professional media outlet, and thanks for letting us use these photos every now and then when we do. Upcoming here, within the next week or so, we're gonna start this all over again with basketball, high school basketball, of course, and focus on Mid-Penn and District 3 throughout the regular season. But then we'll bring in some statewide coaches and talk about some statewide teams and players. So pretty soon, Dave Berman, we're going to transition over.
And already announced a couple games this weekend. Collegiate
Terry
Charter.
Terry and Travis, you guys are always welcome to jump in and join us if you'd like. So tonight we have Dave Berman, the voice of Delco, Travis Waters, and Terry Clark Jr. And we have 12 teams left in the state after this past weekend. So we're just going to, without an opening guest, we're just going to talk about some of the games, all of the games to some degree, some more than others, though. And let's start with this. How about this Thanksgiving Day game? And we're not going to kind of break the whole game down at all, but you guys like this? Easton and Phillipsburg, it's their 118th meeting. Okay, that's ridiculous. Imagine how much different this country was 118 years ago. They started in 1905. The latest game was 35-6 Easton. They play at Fisher Stadium at Lafayette College. Easton finishes with a 14-1 record, scores 534 total points on this season, both records for that hallowed program. And Easton now leads the series 68-44-5, have won 10 of 14. Phillipsburg had won 2 straight before this year. What do you guys think of the Thanksgiving Day game? There used to be a lot. Travis, your father played in a few, right?
Yeah, John Harris William Penn. I love it. And I've saw highlights of it before, and I saw some this week. And one of the comments I made is that that's a great atmosphere for kids to play in. Both towns come out in huge numbers. You don't really see that anymore. I think some of it's that the games are televised, but some of it you just don't have the same community support
for spirit. It's like
hometown athletic programs anymore. As we start to head to, I don't know, maybe we're heading the AAU route for high school football as well, which would be sad. But I just think it was a tremendous atmosphere, and hats off to both communities for coming out and keeping that great tradition alive.
Yeah, my mother was a mate. She might even have gone to school with your dad. I don't know what years your dad went, but my mother was a majorette and had one of those nice, really big hats with the feather on it, and she used to twirl baton at these games we're talking about. There's not even I hardly ever see that anymore with the majorettes all dressed up. I mean, there are some, but it just the whole spirit has just taken a turn, I think. And we're not here to blast anybody. It's just our society has taken a turn in a lot of ways.
No, my dad graduated in 61 from John Harris.
Okay, they were 3 years off then.
And when you look at, I look at his yearbook and look at the attendance for all the games. They played that game at Hershey.
Your dad was probably good enough. He was probably playing as a sophomore, right?
No. I know my dad say the only sophomore that was playing, the only person playing as sophomore back then, and the first one was Charlie Appleberry.
Okay, because my mom was twirling in 58.
Yeah.
So
I played with Appleberry Jr. Well, 68, he probably went to school with my uncle Melvin Waters.
Okay, so let's kind of just talk about a couple things that aren't directly related to the games. What do you guys think about trying. I don't think it would work up until the state championship games. But what about instant replay? Do you guys have a problem with? And listen, we don't ever bad. I don't personally, and we don't as a show. We don't bad rap officials. I mean, it's a tough job. But let me show you guys something. That guy was called down. They said his knee was down, and that was not a fumble. I mean, stuff like that, you know. And again, I'm not even going to say what teams they were, and I don't want anybody to even know what officials we're talking about because I don't know. But
I know what it was.
What's that?
I know which game it was.
Yeah, because I got it off the thread that we were on together. But
Yeah.
My point is, I don't think you could have instant replay throughout the state leading up to the state championship. Okay, what do you think for the state championships? Would you guys like to see instant replay?
No.
No.
I mean, if we're considering adding shot clocks to basketball, then I mean, I think why not? Why not? I mean, as we were talking about, the game is evolving, and I think things are becoming. The referees aren't human. I mean, they're human, so
Yeah.
they're not gonna. It's hard when you're in the moment sometimes
Mhm.
in live seeing things. Sometimes they don't see it clearly, so it's a judgment call for them.
Yeah.
They got to go with what they thought happened, but I'm fine with how it is. Like I said, you got to come into the game knowing that
I am too.
every call is not going to go your way. It's just not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I am too. I could argue either way, really, and I am fine. How about you, Travis? Do you like the way it is, or would you rather have at least when the stakes get higher and higher? Would you rather have a little bit of instant replay?
I would be okay with it. I don't want the game slowed down anymore. I'd be okay with it when it gets to maybe district or even play or state play because one and done in a one bad play can end the season,
Right.
career. But as Terry said, they have to do a shot clock in high school basketball first.
That's about done. There's one more vote.
Shot clock.
One more vote. Dave Berman, you know where I got that.
Yeah.
Well, and we don't need to talk about where I found that photo because I was discussing it with a coach, and he was not trying to judge officials. I know he
Right.
wasn't because he was clear about that. So, yeah, that's just something that we're just going to let humans be human. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I don't like instant replay.
Okay. All right.
I have another example to go along with this conversation, but I'll bring it up when we talk about that game.
Okay.
I'll bring it up when we talk about that game.
All right. So remaining undefeateds, we have 3 left, fellas. Twin Valley, Avonworth, and Northwestern Lehigh, and 2 of them are playing. So we have to end up with at least one undefeated team. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's just, it is what it is. Some of that has to do with the way that you schedule. And some of it just has to do with how long you last in the postseason. So how about districts that are represented in these final 6 games? District 7 has 3 teams. District 3 has 2. District 11 has 2. District 12 has 2. Districts 4, 6, and 10 have 1 each, and that equals 12. And this is just kind of out of left field. Imhotep, I heard, is dropping to 5A next year. That's my understanding.
Yep. I'm under that impression too.
Bad news for District 1 again.
Yep, sure is.
Yeah, really.
And I only say that because I think I talked to you guys about it. Imhotep was pretty young this year, so I mean, the timing of that is kind of crazy. But yeah, that's the rules in place.
Terry.
I said it to you guys. I said it. I strongly feel this way. If you reach 6A, they need to put a rule in place that there's no coming back down.
I agree.
That's what it is. You're there. You're locked.
I agree. That team that Imhotep had 2 years ago was so good. You guys remember that team? Oh my gosh. Yep. So anyway, I don't know if Roman has a chance of moving up or not. I don't know. So I don't want anybody to think I'm saying they are. We're not in this camp as a show, but just an FYI, there are 7 public schools this year represented and 5 privates. So an exorbitant or an uneven amount of private schools, because private schools represent like 20% of the entire PIAA football field. So it's always going to be that way, look, we've done this for what, 2 full years now. We don't sit here and talk about that stuff. We will just as a source of just talking about it, but I'm not going to sit and argue one way or the other. But you know what? It used to, in basketball, it's the smaller schools by and large that are represented by the privates more. In football, it's 5 and 6A. 2 years in a row, right? All 4 teams.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
Imhotep is considered public school.
well, they can yeah. They get their players from the whole city of Philadelphia.
All the Philly,
Yes.
all the public teams can in Philly. So
I talk
that's true.
boundary
That's
and
true.
non-boundary. That's the way I tend
Yeah.
to. Okay, so why don't we just do this? Let's just start. We have enough time that we can just start with 6A. Is that all right with you guys? And just kind of go 6, 5, 4. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about Harrisburg, McDevitt, and then the Twin Valley Aliquippa game. We don't have time to talk about everything here, but kind of a rough way for Harrisburg's season to end. But the only thing about it is we've talked about it a lot. Last night we all texted. I think this morning a little bit. There's nothing that they left on the table. I don't think Harrisburg. It's not like it came down to one play and it's like, oh man, all they had to do was this. And the final score was 32-14, Pitt Central Catholic. And I mean that's a 3-score win. It didn't feel like a blowout to me. It just Harrisburg kind of hung around. Am I wrong? They hung around to the point where if they were able to go on a push or a surge like early fourth quarter, they still could have, but it just never happened. Were you guys surprised at all about the outcome? I wasn't. I talked all year. I had Harrisburg like maybe 4th or 5th in the entire state. If you throw in Roman Catholic, I had them at least below. And we do this for crap and giggles, shits and giggles. We don't like pick. But I had.
Did you curse?
I said crap and giggles. Yeah. No, I had Central Catholic and LaSalle ahead of Harrisburg all year, and I even had St. Joe's Prep for at least most of the year, maybe the entire year. Okay, I got to shut up and let you guys talk. Travis Waters, what was the difference to you?
It was clearly that the fact that Central Catholic had 5 Division I offensive linemen, 5 legitimate, and they are all, I believe they're all FBS. All of them have FBS offers. One going to Notre Dame. So it's the equivalent of having almost 5 Kevin Browns. And they all go one way. If you're a guard, you practice being a guard every day of practice. If you're a tackle, you practice being a tackle every day of practice. Kevin Brown practices being a tackle, being a defensive tackle, and sometimes being a defensive end. It's a tremendous advantage when you are a private school in the state of Pennsylvania.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is what it is, and people can say what they want to,
Mm-hmm.
but it is what it is. And people will say, well, they need to work hard. Listen, I guarantee you 90% of the schools in Pennsylvania, the kids aren't playing sports. They'll be in the weight room in a few weeks.
Right.
They'll be working out. They'll be doing 7-on-7s. But not many public schools have 5 or 6 6'2", 290-pound kids walking their hallways.
No, because you're stuck with not stuck. Stuck's a bad word. You have to use who's in your hallways, who's in your school.
Yeah, and I think that I know there are some Harrisburg folks who are upset. You want to blame this, you want to blame that. You have a Division I receiver, Division I running back, and I'm going to keep saying, and I say it over and over again, and people got to hear me, is that's not what wins state championships.
Correct.
At state level. It is the trenches that win state championships. Harrisburg has always had phenomenal athletes, and they're going to have phenomenal athletes again next year. Because you have a lot of young guys who are back, but it's almost to the point. I'm going to say this to the point where if you're in the East, it's almost like your ceiling is getting to the Eastern Championship game.
Right.
And if you're in West, it might be getting to the point where your ceiling is getting to the Western. Now, I think there's only Pittsburgh Central Catholic out West, so you have a little better of a shot. But when you have the St. Joe's Preps and the Seton, it's going to be very difficult for a public school to compete with that.
District 1 and District 11, they really don't have much of a chance to ever get in the state championship. And we're not like woe is me here either. We're not, it's just like you said, Travis, this is just the reality of what these teams are facing. Harrisburg's been to how many? 3 state championships?
Yeah.
Central York was the one, Central Dauphin was the one. None of those schools would have been to any of those state championships if they had to go through District 12 in the state semis.
I have a question. I mean,
Go ahead,
guys, explain this to me. How come back in the day when it started, 2008, up to about 2000, when they went to 6 classes, why did the public schools have success against the Catholic League teams in the state tournament?
Anybody want?
I think because go ahead, Terry.
I would say probably because they had to get adjusted to PIAA. I mean, it was a new rules for them, based off of what they were used to and accustomed to in District 12. Just get us into the swing of things, and once they figured it out and seen how it works in the PIAA, they were ready to go. The talent was never an issue for them. They always had the talent. It's just the rest of the state didn't know that. And I tell people that all the time. Most of the people originally thought when they were at it, yeah, they're probably going to dominate basketball, maybe track, but football was the unknown factor. But now everyone sees that football is big down there too.
And LaSalle won in 2009. Was that the first year? They won Quad A in 2009.
Second year.
Second year. Okay, so it didn't take them that long. And then LaSalle went to the championship and lost to North Allegheny the following year. So yeah, it's not like it took them that long to like get in the mix. They just didn't start winning every year until Dave, I don't know, 2013, something like that. It
seems like, well, in 2012, Coatesville actually beat LaSalle in the state semifinal.
Yeah, and then lost to North Allegheny. Yeah.
And also another thing I want to add too, I think another deciding factor is they have the Interact schools down there too. Mm-hmm. I think when the kids realize, they don't have to go there now, District 12 is now a part of the PIAA. They can win a state championship. And schools like Prep and LaSalle were getting better and better, and they played a national schedule on top of, the conference schedule they play. So why wouldn't you want to go and play for one of those schools when you get national exposure and you also get an opportunity to win a state title too on top of that?
Yeah.
I think
go
ahead. Sorry.
I think when you can create what amounts to an AAU team, you're going to have, and we know that kids transfer between public schools. There's no doubt about that. Harrisburg received transfers. All schools receive transfers. And sometimes, let's be honest, it's for athletic reasons. But you can't do what a private school can do. It's just the reality.
They could just go right out and do it, unhindered. Yeah.
So with that being said, and again, I'm sure some folks from Harrisburg said they had a tremendous season. Absolutely tremendous season. And as star-studded as their roster is, they have a lot of young guys on that team. They're going to have to rebuild their line, but give credit where credit's due. Calvin Everett, let's face it, he's the greatest. He's the most successful coach in the history of Harrisburg history. If you look at position by position group, I mean, they were really good. I mean, the reason why they dominated Central York is because of the line play.
Yeah.
So you had a tremendous line, one of their better lines that they've ever had. But again, you're going up against 5 Division I linemen on the offensive end for Central Catholic. They gave up a couple sacks, but still they played great. And what I was really impressed with Shank, the way he was. I worried about him because he didn't get pressure all year. And he really, especially in the second half,
great touch,
good under pressure.
Yeah,
a couple exceptions, but the one that took it away from the receiver, the one that was 4th down where he received pressure, he had to get rid of the ball. He really played well. He really grew up. If you ask me.
He really did. Yeah, I shouldn't have to. I spent like all day today, like kind of defending personnel from Harrisburg. Okay.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do that, man. You and a lot of these people I was kind of debating or arguing with, they're Harrisburg people, man. Tried and
Yeah.
true Harrisburgers. Went to school there, have kids that go there or went there, big fans. And man, everybody else, let me just say this. Everybody else wishes they had what Harrisburg has right now to root for and to follow and to support. You know, the CD people do, the Cumberland Valley people do. Central York to a degree has that, but they stop when it's time to play Harris. Nobody else in this area has that except for McDevitt, and they're going to have that forever. They're just set up that way. But just be glad you're a Harrisburg Cougar person, fan or parent or alum or whatever, because you guys got it going on right now.
I would argue that Harrisburg is probably the best public school in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think there's a public school in the state of Pennsylvania they can't beat.
No.
I really
and,
don't.
And as far as programs go, Southern Columbia, we're talking about all classifications. You can count on one hand and it might just be Southern Columbia and Harrisburg, the best two.
And I would throw Pine Richland in there too.
Okay, Pine Richland, you're right. And I might be missing some, but anyway, Dave Berman, you wanted to jump in.
I forget what I was going to say.
Okay. All right. So
I'm the oldest one here, so you know how the mind goes when you're.
Mine's gone. How about Chris Black? Man, that guy, what a game he had.
DeAndre Swift.
Only a sophomore.
Yeah,
he's
good. Kind of Dave. He is kind of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
37 carries for 211 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. How many times, at least 2, maybe 3, did it just look like there was like a scrum the whole way around him, in front of him, to either side, behind, and he just came out the other end? It's like, how did that's strong legs. That's, your coach, if you were a running back, and I wasn't, your coach teach you from an early age, never stop moving your legs. Keep moving, keep running. And he's listened to that, huh?
That's what disappointed me the most about Harrisburg, is that there were a couple of times where they had him stopped.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they thought the for progress had stopped, but that is what kind of disappointed me right there, where it was just like, okay, tackle the guy. You don't see that happen to Harrisburg that often.
I thought Mickens had a phenomenal game.
He did what he could.
Besides just his acrobatic one-handed catch.
Yeah, that was amazing, by the way.
Mickens had 107 yards rushing, and he had, let's see here, 4 receptions, 34 yards receiving, so 141 total yards. Yeah.
And I'm going to go back to Jayon Lewis, man. Keep telling people. Jayon Lewis was open all day. Jayon Lewis I'll say one thing. Jayon Lewis terrorized their defense. He had, you can't tell me that they weren't scared of Jayon Lewis. If there were times, one time where he had a first or second possession, it was a touchdown. Maybe it was the first possession. It was clearly a touchdown if it would have been a better pass. He gave their secondary some work. He gave him some work.
What about was it kind of? I say this with all respect, and I really do. Was that game kind of tough to watch for a while with all the penalties? And I mean, I don't know if it was the teams or the officials or what. It just kind of started getting frustrating, like tough to watch. I'm like, come on, man. There was no flow to it. No flow to it for a while.
It was one of the it was pre-snap stuff. There were a couple holding calls. It wasn't like on sport, not a whole lot of what I guess there was a couple on sports. But it wasn't like face masks and stuff like that. No. It was just like focus stuff where it's like, okay, know where to line up, know what the snap count is,
100 yards and penalties for Pitt Central Catholic, 82 for Harrisburg. Go ahead, Terry.
It's crazy that that Pittsburgh Central Catholic actually had more penalty yards. It's really crazy. But I've been telling people that, today as well, like, Pittsburgh Central Catholic, it wasn't like that they outcoached Harrisburg or anything like that, because as you mentioned, the penalty yardage too from pre-snap penalties mostly. But if there was any takeaway for me personally in the game, we talked about it last week on the show. If Harrisburg wanted to win this game, they were going to have to be balanced, and they were going to have to avoid the self penalties that they usually always get, and they just didn't do it. They just did not. So that was a recipe for disaster, unfortunately.
rushing yards. Pitt Central Catholic 245. That's a lot of rushing yards. Harrisburg 112.
And and I mean, we knew that coming into the game that if Harrisburg were to get the penalties that they usually get, it was going to put them in a tough situation versus a team like Pittsburgh Central Catholic, where the talent is basically even. So, against a team like that, you're not going to be able to beat them.
I think Travis might have made the best point out of all of this, and we just made a lot of good points. Dave Berman, you interviewed that young man from St. Joe's Prep a year or two ago, the offensive lineman.
Yes, now at Towson. Yep.
Oh man, that was a great interview that you did. I mean, you did a great job with that. Awesome young man. He was on with his father. Remember that? But
yeah, Kevin Towns, Strathaven.
I'm saying this to make a point. I listened to the whole interview. He said that when the night they beat Harrisburg, which was 3 years ago, St. Joe's Prep.
Yeah.
He said as soon as he realized that the guy he was going up against was playing both ways, he knew the game was over. And that was after the first possession. Remember, Dave? He said that.
Yeah.
He's like, I knew it was over. He said, I ran off the field. The guy that I was blocking had to stay on the field and play offense, go to the offensive line. He said, I ran off the field, and I knew they were done if they had to do that. And that's what Travis, that's what you said. That's just hard to do,
Kevin's got a son coming up. He's going to, after Charlie Folk graduates, he'll be a KJ Kobe Towns, Kobe, like Kobe Bryant Towns. Keep an eye on him. That's the youngest son of Kevin. So that'll be down the road.
I say that Harrisburg, well, first of all, they had a great season. I think they went as far as this team was able to go. And that's when to me, you don't have any regrets when you do that. The same thing with Susquehanna Township last week. They just lost to a better team. I think Twin Valley would beat Susquehanna Township close to 10 times out of 10, So, and the point that I'm making there is you don't have to go, oh my gosh, if we just would have made that kick, or if we just wouldn't have made that fumble or something like that. No, Pitt Central Catholic was
like last year.
Right.
I thought the play could have won it back last
year. Exactly right. So, okay, let's move on to McDevitt. They're going back. They're playing the same team they beat last year in overtime, Roman Catholic. It was a pretty interesting game. I mean, I thought it was going to be. It didn't look. I think we all kind of feel like Pine Richland was a better team than Peters Township. It's not always the better team that wins, but Peters Township, they played hard. They played real hard, and they forced McDevitt. McDevitt had this is an astronaut. I hate to lead with this, but I will. McDevitt had 18 penalties for 157 yards. And that is the only reason that Peters Township was able to hang around.
Yes.
Did you guys watch the game? I mean, that's really what it was.
Yeah, and unlike what I just said with the Harrisburg situation,
they were real. Yeah, they were dirty penalties.
Yeah, McDevitt was able to get away with that because they had the better team. It was evident. Just you can't on that stage. You can't play around with teams like that because that's what will happen. Teams like that will take advantage of that, and they almost blew it. They really did.
How about this though? McDevitt only 33 carries for 102 yards of rushing. That's pretty good defense there, guys. That's a little over 3. That's about 3.4, I think, if my math's right, yards per carry. That's crazy. So a good win for McDevitt. Any state semifinal win is good, and that's going to be a tough game for McDevitt. I think Roman is really, really good. Anybody want to chime in on?
Yeah, I just want to say, I've been saying this all year about McDevitt and the penalties. The same as Harrisburg. It's supremely talented, but because they are supremely talented, they can get away with some things that other teams can't get away with. When Harrisburg is playing Central Dauphin, it's okay to be 1st and 20.
Yeah,
they pick that up.
Yeah,
they're playing Altoona. They can pick that up. And the thing with McDevitt, they can still do that a lot of times in the playoffs, because sometimes in the playoffs, until they get to maybe this round, the Western Championship, the teams they've played tougher teams in conference than what they play in the playoffs. So they're able to get away with that. You're not going to be able to do that against Roman this week. Now, I
No.
will say this: I don't think Roman is prone to some of those mistakes as well, especially on special teams.
Mhm.
But they're much more talented than what a Peters Township is.
So, congratulations to Jeff Wechter, and I think that's his 301st career win. Maybe he just had 300, right, Dave?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and they move on. They go, and this will be their. I don't want to say that they'll never get back to this stage because maybe they will in 6A, but things get really, really tough once you're in 6A. That's an entirely different set of circumstances. So, let's move on to Aliquippa versus Twin Valley. I kind of felt that was the sexy game. You know what I mean? The one that kind of had some appeal. Like, wow, man, you got Aliquippa, so rich in tradition and history, and made a great run here the latter part of the season. And then you got Twin Valley, who our friend Coach Brett Myers kind of took over and just turned around, and somebody had to lose. You know what I mean? It was like they were on a collision course. And I'm going to move to the end first. I missed that onside kick. What did I miss there, guys?
Yeah, so I seen that. Remember when I mentioned that earlier?
Yeah,
in the show?
I walked away
now.
just momentarily, and I
Bring that
came
up.
back and I missed it. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Aliquippa had all the momentum. So they scored, and it was 28-24 Twin Valley. So there was plenty of time left, though, in the game, but Aliquippa, they had all the momentum, so they tried the onside kick. So Aliquippa ended up coming down with the ball successfully, but the ref said, being as Twin Valley, so the kid did a fair catch, and it went over his head. And the ref said the Aliquippa player touched the ball before it hit the ground, which in high school, it has to hit the ground first before you can recover it. When they showed the replay, though, it didn't. It looked like it hit the ground first, and Aliquippa jumped on it.
Right.
It was really, really close, though, but it looked like it did.
That was late third quarter, by the way.
Yes, it was late third quarter. I was saving that for when we were talking about should we have replay or not. That was another prime example, pivotal moment in a huge game. Like I said, Aliquippa had all the momentum. They scored 24 unanswered points going into that. They only had 6 points at half, so they scored all of that.
Yeah.
Now, if they do get it and recover it right then and there, who's to say Aliquippa doesn't score?
Yeah. So I want to mention what Coach Mike Warfield.
Can y'all hear me? I broke up a little bit. Sorry.
Yeah, you were kind of freezing, but yeah, I think we heard everything you said. Coach Warfield, man, what a guy he is. I mean, we can't say enough about the guy. He after the game, he said, I put a lot of blame on myself. I didn't have them ready to go from the beginning, but I thought the kids played well. We just put the defense in tough positions early on. Marcus Council Jr., the Yale commit quarterback, played very well. Warfield said, coming back from an injury and taking a month off, it's hard to get back into the rhythm. Tonight, he tried to run a little bit, but he was fighting through his knee and ankle injuries that were banged up a few weeks back. He brought us back after throwing those 2 interceptions. They fought, and that's all I could ask for. I had no problems with the referee crew. No, here you go. Classic Mike Warfield. You know he doesn't let his players make excuses.
He wasn't going to make an excuse on that, but because that's just him. But on top of it, he understands that, like you said, that was late third quarter. Aliquippa, in the end, had an opportunity to win the game.
What a stand for Twin Valley. That was a great stand. And Aliquippa was kind of going backwards, like, you know what I mean? And that was the Twin Valley defense. So the last thing that Coach Warfield said, I had no problems with the referee crew tonight. They called a great game, but the official said that the ball has to hit the ground first, and we couldn't recover it, Warfield said. That was the turning point of the game, and they got an extra 5 yards on top of that for illegal touching. So I'm going to do my golf clap for Coach Mike Warfield.
Absolutely.
I think one of the coaches of the year, and not just because I like him as a coach and he's not just because he's on the show, but he lost some key talent. He was without his star quarterback a good portion of the year, and they just won. You know.
Yeah, I
Great
honestly
coach.
think that
Great coach.
he's one of the best coaches in the state, and I personally think that Aliquippa overachieved this year, given their circumstances. I talked about it before, as far as coming into the season, Aliquippa lost key three or four guys that were like highly touted guys
Right.
that went on to go to play at some big time prep schools, St. Francis and IMG. And they lost 3 of them kind of guys. Like, that's high level and big time difference makers. So, like I said, I think they overachieved to even get to that game. But hats off to him. He made great second half adjustments to give him an opportunity to win the game.
Right.
I did talk a little bit to some the Twin Valley staff, and I want to shout out Coach Brett Myers, because one of the first things that he did when he talked to his guys was he apologized to them because he felt like he let them down in the second half because Twin Valley didn't do anything.
So the opposite of what Coach Warfield said.
Yeah, so I was like, this is exactly why I like these two as coaches. Right there.
Wow. Okay, so let's we would be remiss not to at least mention these other scores. LaSalle College 49-14 over North Penn, Roman Catholic 48-20 over Springfield Delco, and then Southern Lehigh, same score as the Twin Valley, and the same scenario, 28-24. Southern Lehigh got up big early, and Dave Cardinal O'Hara, they clawed their way back in. They just couldn't talk about high hopes probably down there for North Penn, Springfield Delco, and Cardinal O'Hara, right, Dave?
Yeah, it was great seasons for all of them. And 3 of the O'Hara losses were, of course, to St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle, and Roman.
Yeah.
Brett Myers took Middletown to 3 consecutive, right? PIAA state champions.
Yes, 3 consecutive.
Could not get by the WPIAL teams.
I think Beaver area, Aliquippa, and I forget who the third one was. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then he did it the other night, though. Finally got over the hump.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday Harrisburg will end that curse at Mansion Park in Altoona. Maybe next year.
Yeah. So Trinity, man, what a second half for Northwestern Lehigh. It was 13-13 at halftime. Trinity, in a dogfight, of course. And they got outscored, 35-0 after the break. So
yeah,
great season for Trinity. I'm not just throwing that around frivolously. That's a great season for Kevin Yarnovich and his Trinity team,
Yeah. I even told you, like, when you said the score is 13-13 and a half, I was like, whoa, I gotta turn that game on, see what's going on, because
it was too late.
Coming into that game, Southern Lehigh, they were like the kind of big favorite to win that game, but Trinity was in it. I mean, they clearly had an excellent game plan coming into it. It's just, second half comes, and then the team that is favorite, they just did what they were supposed to do, made a couple adjustments and took off.
The cream rises, basically.
Yeah, essentially.
Almost always the cream rises. So, and then on the other side of 3A, Avonworth 31-15 over Penn Cambria. Penn Cambria has to be pretty good to only lose by 16 to Avonworth, because Avonworth's darn good, man. I watched them in the district championship game the week before, and they're really good. So I think they might get their they have to play Northwestern Lehigh, who's the defending champ. So yeah, I don't know who's going to win that game. Really, that should be a great matchup.
It was a rematch, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
2 undefeated teams. Yeah. So let's move down to 2A. Southern Columbia 24-7 over Lansdale Catholic. This is like not one of Southern Columbia, probably not one of their better teams over the last decade, but here they are, back in the championship game and playing really well.
They this is their favorite time of the year. They take it up a notch.
They're not squeaking by. They're not squeaking by at all.
Every time.
So, and then Farrell, another one. Farrell and Seton LaSalle were close. It was a close game. And then Farrell just won, going away. They just scored like 2 or 3 touchdowns late. And, I think that's going to be a good game. Have anybody watched Farrell play? Go ahead, Dave.
They're tough as heck. They have a great sports history, 7 PIAA state titles in boys basketball, as you know.
Yeah.
3 times they beat Chester in the state finals in basketball back in the day, and that's why I'm pulling for Farrell. What a great sports town, football and basketball, right?
Yeah, they used to give Steel High fits back in the 70s. And
Yeah.
So that should be there's some good matchups here, guys. I mean,
I'm hoping for a good game, but you never know with Southern, man. Like when they get there, they just handle business. So
yeah,
it's tough. It's tough to beat them on that stage. It really is.
It really is. Yeah. So
Struggled the
They
first.
should move up. I want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
I've been arguing with them guys for years about that. So that's all I'm gonna say, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
What you'll hear the Southern Columbia faithful, the fans, the fan base, what you'll hear them say is that they can beat 3A, 4A, 5A. I've heard them say they can beat 6A team. Good 6. I don't think that's the case because Southern Columbia is 0-3 against Wyomissing in the last 4 years. The year. Let me tell you this. Here, Southern Columbia won the state championship in 2021. Of course, they did. They were 15-1. They lost to Wyomissing that year by 3 touchdowns, and Wyomissing was 3A, one classification higher. So Southern Columbia is a great program, but they play 2A, and that's who they beat is 2A. You can't guarantee that they would have beat some of these Central Valley teams, and
Ooh,
right.
So the rematch 30 years ago. I got to throw this at you. 30 years ago, Farrell played Southern Columbia in the single A state title game.
Wow.
And Farrell won it. Yeah, Farrell won it 6-0. There you go.
All right.
I'm serious. I don't think they should be forced to move. I'm just saying, from a competitive perspective, if I'm a Southern person, I would want to see how good we are.
Right.
Right. That's my argument too, Travis. Like I said, I argue with Southern Columbia fans all the time about this, and they feel as though why should they be punished for being successful when they're playing by the rules, not having the transfers, yada yada yada.
Travis isn't talking about punishing him.
Yeah, no, I don't want to punish them.
That's how they take it.
Right.
Yeah, so no, I'm saying, but from internally.
Right.
If I'm a Southern person, let's challenge ourselves.
Like enough's enough.
See how good we are. Still High did that for years. Still High.
I'm the same way.
No recs for years. You know what I mean? And
right. I completely agree with that, and they hate when you bring up Aliquippa. They hate it. They hate it.
They've actually lost 8 state championship games. Southern Columbia, 14 championships. 8 state runner-ups. There you go.
And you think about it, Still High was forced to move up and play them out of classification.
Well,
so 1A.
Jim Roth has a lot of power, guys.
Yeah. 1A, we have Clairton against Bishop Guilfoyle. Bishop Guilfoyle is the defending 1A state champion. Clairton and Guilfoyle won their semifinal games by a combined score of 92-0. 57-0 for Clairton over Greenville, 35-0 for Guilfoyle over Belmont. So the Belmont and Greenville, they probably were deer in headlights. Probably both of them. They weren't used to being there, and Guilfoyle and Clairton were. There's a formula for Clairton has won a lot of games by a lot of points, but there's a formula for beating them because they only beat Laurel 8-6. In the last round, the round prior to this, which was the District 7 championship game. So, and I'm sure Guilfoyle will be able to figure out what they did, and that doesn't mean they're going to beat them. But Clairton's got a lot of athletes. Anybody see either of these? I haven't seen Guilfoyle play at all. Travis?
No, I haven't seen him, but sometimes all about matchups. That's why sometimes you got to be careful about looking at scores. Because some teams just match up differently.
Right.
Clairton athletes galore, Steel kids, they're like the Aliquippas and the Farrells. They come from that. They've played Bishop Guilfoyle twice in the PIAA state championship game. Good battles. BG beat them 19-18 back in 2014 in the single A game, and then Bishop Guilfoyle in 2016 beat Clareton 17-0. So I'm looking for hopefully Clareton. I really want to pull for Clareton. I know I'm Bishop Guilfoyle too, but let's go Clareton.
So
I'm like you, Dave. Let's go Clareton.
Tyler Boyd, right? Tyler Boyd.
Yes,
Southern
Tyler
Columbia
Boyd, great. Tyler Boyd.
is the only team remaining in the top 5 of most championships. They have 14 championships over the course of their history. And then after that, St. Joe's Prep with 9, but that's St. Joe's Prep done 9 in 11 years, 12 years. Berwick, Archbishop Wood with 6 each, Steel High, Aliquippa, Mount Carmel, Erie Cathedral Prep, and Thomas Jefferson each have 5. So that's your top, whatever that is, like 7 in history.
Well,
So
yeah, Joe, isn't it amazing? Bishop Guilfoyle is so good in sports, especially boys basketball and football, and Altoona High School, especially when it comes to football and boys basketball, really struggling.
Those are some Altoona kids.
yeah, they probably get the best Altoona.
They get the best Altoona kids. Which
Yeah.
is why they shouldn't be playing
Right.
single A ball.
No.
They should not. They should
No.
not. And I would say that to anyone. They
Right.
shouldn't.
And if I'm an Altoona kid, honestly, I'd want to play at Altoona. I'd want to play at the big. I'd want to play 6A, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
just me.
Yeah,
It's one of
Yep.
those. It's one of those things, though, because
playing Mansion Park
get it, though.
5 times a year. All right, I think that's it, man. We're done for tonight. Without that opening guest, man. If you guys want to do this, we're going to do one more show. We're going to recap the state championship games. If you guys know a coach you want to bring in next week, of course it's going to be a coach that's out of it already. Just as an analyst, just to hang out with us. I'm wide open for whoever you want to bring in. I don't care if it's somebody that we've already had on the show. Just kind of somebody to lend a hand and have a little bit of fun and so congratulations to McDevitt for moving on. Again, well done, Harrisburg, and we mean that. I mean, that was a great season. They beat a lot of really good teams. Trinity, Coach Kevin Yarnovich, great season, and Coach Brett Myers from Twin Valley. We wish you well. Here, let me just show for those at home. This is the way this works. Thursday will be Class 1A and Class 4A, and that's at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Friday will be Class 2A and Class 5A at 1 and 7 again. And then Saturday is Class 3A and Class 6A again at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock. So get out there if you're local and you just have, you're looking for something to do, go out and watch some football because Cumberland Valley does a great job. Travis, you were there last year, man. They just do a great job. The atmosphere is a lot of fun, and they have sound light shows and sound effects and all that stuff. So anything else, guys?
I tell you what, if Fort Chapman was on our show, we would go till at least 7 o'clock.
Maybe we'll get him on. I don't know. What the heck?
Unbelievable.
I mean, okay, yeah, that's the one of the better trivia questions I kind of came up with this on my own. He's the only guy that I ever know to have won a state championship as a player. Now, it was mythical back then, but that's how they designed. They didn't remember, Dave. They didn't play the tournament. It was what was the guy's name? He was a writer. Dave, you know who I'm talking about. He was a writer, but his state championship was the one that was used. I can't remember, but Fort Chapman won a state championship as a quarterback in '82 at Cumberland Valley. He won a state championship as an assistant coach in 2011 with Central Dauphin, as a head coach in 1995 at Bishop McDevitt. So top that. that guy's he's been around some serious high school football over the last 40 years or so. All right. So that's it, guys. If anybody wants to come up with we talk all throughout the week, if you got somebody you want to, even if it's not a coach, if it's somebody that likes to talk high school football, they can come in. We'll just do like a round table, round robin, and just talk about the games. All right.
Right.
All right. So for Dave Berman, Travis Waters, Terry Clark, I'm Joe Gillaway. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great Sunday evening, everyone.
Hey, appreciate it.
Take care.
Got it.